Thank you for joining us on Divine Intervention. I'm Juanita Williams. Divine Intervention is a program that will keep you at the edge of your seat with thrilling and gripping tales of different persons like you and I, reverend and deacons and pastors, who will share with us their story, their challenges, and how Jesus stepped in and turned their life around. Today on Divine Intervention, we'll be joined by the Reverend Carla Dunbar. She will share her story with us. Stay with us as she tells us about how God came in and turned her life around.
I was born in the parish of Kingston and St. Anne, Kingston rather, in the community of Jonestown. That's where I was born. I left Jonestown for quite a while, however, and went to live wherever my mother went, which is St. Thomas, and then Portland, back to Portland. I went back to Portland at age 11 and have been there since then. So where I got married. Actually, I went to live with my teenage boyfriend at age 13. He is Mr. Canwoods Dunbar, now my beloved husband. And we have been living together since then, and I'm now married. We have produced 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. I attended schools in St. Thomas, Yalas Primary, and of course when I went to Obeah, I attended Winter Castle all-age school, and then Obeah Secondary School, which I left at age 13 due to pregnancy. Right, I got pregnant at 14, but I was living with my boyfriend before then. So, you know, I was not a goody 2 foot all of these while, right? Because so my boyfriend was 17 at the time and I was 14. And we were living together, and then I got pregnant. Then I got pregnant again. By the time I was 17, I had my 2 daughters and was pretty much a party person. Even though I took care of my children, I stayed home and took care of them and go out from time to time, mostly parties and dance halls. That's what I was coming in. But I love dancing from I was small. I used to dance on ringing with Miss Lou. Right, when I was in St. Thomas, I used to dance on ringing. So I'm pretty much an extrovert from a longer time. And going to school, I was more the life of the party, the person who led the gang, that kind of a thing. So that's basically what I did back then. And then I think I was a natural leader. You know, leaders are born. John Maxwell said, not made. And I think I was a natural leader. Only thing that my leadership capabilities were enhanced as I grew and had experiences and studied. My capabilities was enhanced, but for the most part I was a natural leader. So I led in school, I led in my community. People were coming to me for advice on different issues. I led even when I went to the dance hall, took over the dance floor for myself, and that's how I became Portland's first dancehall queen. I was actually crowned at Gemini for the first dancehall queen for Portland. And I was pretty much a fighter, you know. If you look at my man, me fight, I tell you the truth. If you go down to Obeah, you probably hear some stories like that. But I was also respected for looking after my children and sent my children through school. My daughters, during high school is when I started studying with them. I couldn't send myself back to school and send them to school. It was not affordable. Because what I did when my daughters were in 11th grade and about to do CXC, I studied with them from their books. I didn't go to classes, you know, but when they came home, I used their books and I studied and sat CXCs with them, and I was successful. That's how I got my CXCs. And so what I did while my children were attending school is stay home, being a housewife. I was working at a pastry shop earlier on, and then I got ill, got seriously ill. I wasn't a Christian then, I got seriously ill. I was incapacitated. As a matter of fact, I was paralyzed. For about 3 months, I was blind. If you know anything about what people call witchcraft, I think I experienced some of that. Because being blind, I don't even know how that happened. I was paralyzed. I remember I was pregnant, and I somehow, the doctor said I couldn't have the baby, and they took the baby, as in they aborted the child, but they left the child, the fetus, cut up inside of me. And I had that inside of me and didn't realize that, and that sent me into paralysis. I was admitted at St. Anne's Bay Hospital where they did a surgery on me. Initially they didn't know what they were cutting for because they were doing tests and couldn't find anything, and then I woke up one morning in the hospital and I could not move. I was paralyzed from the waist, from the neck down, and that was when they decided to do surgery. They took me, they ran the x-rays and decided that this time they saw something that needed to be removed, and they did the surgery. However, when I came out of the anesthesia that's in St. Anne's Bay Hospital, I saw the doctors around my bed, and like they were saying that actually what they went in for, that's not what they saw. So until today, I don't even know what they saw and what they took. I know I bear the scars of that surgery, but I don't know what happened. I left the hospital not walking because I was there and I was deciding I'm not going to stay in the hospital again. I've had many instances of being in the hospital via abuse or otherwise. We had some rough and tumble, my boyfriend and myself, during our formative years, like any other couple do. We had I'm not the most obedient or submissive person, and so being a dancehall person, my boyfriend wasn't really that kind of a person. So me going to dance and me not coming back till daylight, and that was not his kind of thing. So sometimes we had arguments and conflicts and fights, right? So I decided I didn't want to stay in the hospital. So some patients lifted me up, put me down to the bottom of the ward so that when the doctor came that morning to run the ward, he actually thought that I walked and reached the bottom. So they said I couldn't come out unless I walked. So the patients helped me. So when the doctor came, and he said I must walk back the length of the ward, and everybody was on my side and said, no, you know how long it took her to reach down here, so. And eventually they discharged me. I know we had to wait until the doctor left the ward before they lifted me out again, put me in the vehicle, and I went home. And being at home, I was there crippled for 3 months, not knowing why I couldn't walk.
Fascinating. Awesome story when Jesus stepped in. Reverend Carla Dunbar is sharing with us from her heart. I know you do not want to miss this. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
To understand ingenuity is to appreciate the invention of an iconic Jamaican food. Vincent Chan, creator of the Jamaican patty, made the first meat-filled pastry in the modest kitchen of a small snack shop 50 years ago. Today, with a team of over 1,500 strong and a menu that extends beyond patties, Tasty continues to grow. Our services now include canteen concession, first-class catering services, and the ever-popular food truck. As we reflect on our humble beginnings, we acknowledge your support has helped us realize our true potential. Thank you, Jamaica, for making it tasty. We hope you continue to enjoy our many choices as we continue to evolve.
Jamaica's only complete music store is now at a new location. 8 South Avenue is the new home of the Music Mart. Shop in ease and comfort for everything music. Pianos, keyboards, wind instruments, violins, CDs of every genre, PA equipment, recording equipment and accessories, DJ equipment, acoustic and electric guitars and drums, amplifiers, effects pedals, tuners, sheet music, instruction texts and reference books. All these and much more at affordable prices. The Music Mart, now at 8 South Avenue, Kingston 10. The Music Mart, Jamaica's only complete music store.
Maypan, take your prescription to Tate's Pharmacy in Bargain Village Plaza, Maypan. They stock gifts, toys, baby world for everything baby. Visit the food court and the internet cafe all under one roof. Tate's Pharmacy, Maypan, bringing you the best of
Bills are test you, depress you, and vex you, and I make you feel anxious. You already come me look on my pay, and if things don't get better, well me I go get bankrupt. You need a small loan. See a car where you want own. You and your landlord a fight every day, every night, and a full time you want your own a home. Stop stress, give your face little rest. Run, come make me tell you the secret. You want help, get yourself out of debt. Come a gateway, same day we make your money spread. Stop stress, pay less interest. When I try the golden harvest, or the partner plan, come and show your hand before long you reap real success.
Gateway Cooperative Credit Union, your smart choice for better banking. Remember, at GCCU, you're not just a member, you're family. Come let us give you the keys to your financial success.
It's such a joy when God steps into your life. I'm glad that you remained right there. Come, let's go back to her story.
A young lady came to visit me and she gave me a piece of paper with a doctor's name on it. And when they took me to see him, lifted me out everything, when he did what is called a DNC on me, what they recognize is that the fetus was cut up and left inside of me, and it was inside of me for over a month. Actually, he said that if I hadn't come at that time, I would have probably died because it was rotting on the inside, and that is one of the reasons for the paralysis that I had. Following that, I became blind. 3 months I was blind. I don't know what caused the blindness, but I know I just woke up one day and I could not see. Right? We went to a party one night. My boyfriend and myself, and I came back. We had an argument, but I lied down in the bed the morning and I felt like something dropped in my forehead, just like a feather. And I lost my mind right there. I don't know what happened. I did some bizarre things that I only heard about because I wasn't conscious at the time. My kids told me, that I used to ask them for sweets and stuff like that. And I'm not conscious of some parts of what really happened, but persons in my community knew that I was ill. The doctor finally concluded that I had a nervous breakdown. That was their theory for it. I had a nervous breakdown. But I remember times I was at Ward 21, and there were times the psychiatrist himself was telling me for a pastor to pray for me, because I was on many different medications, right? I had incidents, my sister said, when I actually lifted her with one hand. I can actually say that I've had encounters, demonic encounters, because I've seen demons. I spoke with them, in the spirit world, right? So I've had those encounters, and then they actually took me to a place in St. Mary. I can never forget. Somebody came and said to it was my boyfriend, and he said to him, he used to take me to this place in St. Mary, and they drove me to a place in St. Mary. And going to that place, the lady asked us to bring a goat and other stuff. But then when I was leaving, I said to them, I'm not going back, because I felt the presence of something in the car with me. And I went to this lady, and I'm leaving back, and I still feel that presence in the car. So she has done nothing. Right, and this is the first time I'm going to somewhere like this. Not that I don't know about these kind of things, and I grew up in Yellow St. Thomas, where I see them doing them incantations almost on a daily basis. I used to dance coming, so you understand? I see it being done, but I've never actually been there for myself. And they took me there, and nothing happened. I told them I'm not going back. I was home, I still was not in my full mind, and then somebody else came and told them to take me to this other place in St. Mary, and my grandmother accompanied somebody else, and they took me there. Now I remember going to this place, to cross a stream to go over there. I couldn't walk by myself, they helped me to walk, and I went there. And I remember the first thing I see, this little black lady rush out of her hut, and she started to sing the casket and the wreath, the casket and the wreath. I don't know if she saw me dying, but that's what she said. And when we went in, she said that I'm going to die, and she said, your nerve get hit, and it's not going to get better. She actually said that your nerve not get better once it gets sick, it not get better. That's what she said. And actually I proved that when I went to do my first degree, I was doing psychology, and I learned in psychology that when your neurons are affected, they don't really get better. But thanks be to God, right? And so they took me to this place, and this lady she had like a breadfruit tree with water springing from on, like a regular spring. And she took a bottle and she went out there and she kept some water, and she came in and she gave me the water to drink, and she said, you're going to sleep now, and Dr. Martin is going to give you an injection. I don't see any doctor there, But anyway, I know I drank the water, and I think I slept, because when I came back to or woke up or something, I was feeling better, and we were leaving. So I really don't know exactly what she did, right? But anyway, The scriptures does ring true when it says, people shall say, many shall come in my name, and he'll say, I heal sick. People out there who are practicing witchcraft, or Obeah as we call it, they really do stuff, and in the name of Jesus too, because this lady used the name of Jesus, but I can prove that she was not operating under the influence of the Holy Spirit, and I will tell you how I can prove that. So after 2 visits to her, I got better, well enough, right? And then I got married in 1993. Right, so I was ill for a year. I was mentally ill for an entire year. Ward 21, mentally ill. I was visiting a psychiatrist, a private psychiatrist in Ocho Rios. However, when the same time came around the following year, I went back to a mental state. And this happened for like 2 or 3 consecutive years. Anytime that particular time of the year came, I was mentally ill again.
It is fascinating what God is doing in Reverend Carla Dunbar's life. Wow. We have to go to another break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We love to shop at Quality Equipment Distributors Limited. Oh yes. Oh yes. That's where you get the very best quality. Quality without question. Quality service with a smile. Yeah. They will go the extra mile. At Quality Equipment Distributors. Oh yes. We have in stock audio and public address equipment, microphones and musical instruments, speakers and speaker boxes, car audio and enough accessories and more. So come visit us at 4 Courtney Walsh Drive halfway tree, or call 968-3187, 960-3096 or 960-3129. Quality Equipment Distributors Limited. Quality without question. Quality equipment, quality service.
Bills I test you, depress you and vex you, and I make you feel anxious. You already come and look on my pay, and if things don't get better, well me I go get bankrupt. You need a small loan. See a car where you want own. You and your landlord a fight every day, every night, and a full time you own a home. Stop stress, give your face little rest. Run come make me tell you the secret. You want help, get yourself out of debt. Come a gateway, same day will make your money straight. Stop stress, pay less interest. When I try the golden harvest, or the partner plan, come and show your hand before long you reap real success.
Gateway Cooperative Credit Union, your smart choice for better banking. Remember, at GCCU, you're not just a member, you're family. Come let us give you the keys to your financial success.
Welcome back to Divine Interventions. The story continues with Reverend Carla Dunbar.
I got pregnant with my son. He was conceived on my wedding night. I didn't get saved yet. That was in August 1993. I got saved in February, on the 20th of February 1994. I was riding a bicycle coming down the road from my home on a Sunday morning. I fell off the bicycle. Now this is the first I'm seeing anything like this. I actually saw myself. I didn't see what the bicycle hit. There was nothing in the road. as riding down, and I passed my spiritual mother. She's now my spiritual mother. And I called to her, just went around the corner, riding down Buff Bay Hill there, and I felt the bicycle hit something, but I didn't see what it hit. And I saw myself going over the handle of the bicycle like that, coming back down, and my head hit the wall, the pavement. And the last thing I heard, I saw a van coming from down the road, like a big Leland van, and I heard the footsteps running back down the road, and I heard the lady I just passed. Lord Jesus, she dead. And I know nothing else. I think they took me to the Obeah hospital, where I was hospitalized. And they were about to do some surgery on my head. I was bleeding through my nostrils, and my husband and his family decided that they're not going to do any surgery on my head. So they called my obstetrician, and he told them to send me to the University Hospital, and I was admitted in the Tony Thwaites wing of the University Hospital. Now, that is when I just got saved. I wasn't even baptized yet, right? And I was in the Tony Thwaites wing, and then my doctor came down. I started bleeding. I realized I was losing the child. It is when I was pregnant with my last son, which is Brandon Lee. And fortunately, I think it is God again, on the ward of Tony Thwaites wing is the nurse who works in my doctor's private office. And I told her what was happening, and she called my doctor overseas, and he came down. And when I went to see him at his office, he said to me, "You are not going to lose this child, and if you had come to me before, you would have not lost the other one." I got saved, and I was growing up very fast in the church. I got saved on the 20th of February 1994 at the Buff Bay Church. I got a prophecy on 25 Nelson Street, and I grew very fast. I moved from being the youth director in the church to the youth director in the parish, to lay minister, care group leader, clerk for the church. I had 7 different positions in 7 years, and moved up to associate pastor, lay minister and associate pastor in the very same church. And then in 2000, I became the pastor of the church. I have had some periodic illnesses since then with my nerve. But anyway, in 2001, I decided I want to study. Because so many persons were coming to me in the community asking me advice about relationships and stuff, I wanted to become a counselor. So I applied at Michael Teachers College, and I actually got accepted. And somehow felt like I didn't want to do it again at Michael. I wanted a biblical base, but not sure where. And then out of the blue, so I deferred. I got through, but I deferred. I said I'll come the following year. And then somebody told me about the Jamaica Theological Seminary, and I applied there, and I got through in 2001. So that's when I went back to formal education at age 35 actually. So going there, it was very challenging. I never did a diploma, I never went back to formal education. I just jumped from dropping out of school at 13, sitting CXCs with my daughter, to a bachelor's degree. And it was very challenging. I was fitting in, I was getting some good grades, I was giving God thanks, looking after my children and everything. And then I was asked to represent the student body as the president. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how you do these kind of things. I've never been in this kind of situation before. But everybody had confidence in me, so I ran. And of course, I won landslide victory as the president of the student council. And so I started to lead the student body and sat on numerous boards for the school, etc. And I did that. Got sick again while I was in seminary. I think the Lord was saying something to me, and I really didn't want to listen, right? In terms of going into full-time pastorate, I distinctly heard it, and I'm saying, me, I don't look like a pastor, I don't dress like a pastor, I don't talk like a pastor, so no. And I think the Lord kept impressing it upon me, and I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And then my back gets sick. My back gets sick, I couldn't sit up, so I couldn't go to class, I couldn't lie down, I couldn't travel to Portland. So I was there on campus. Again, I had to sit out almost 3 months in class. I remember when I went to Oxford Medical and they did an x-ray on my back. The doctor said I had a mechanical problem in my back, and I said, okay, I have now become a car. And I remember I was in my room at seminary, and an African gentleman came down, and he was brought to pray for me. And he came and he said, I want to pray for your... He prayed for me. He left. Many other persons were praying for me until I got tired of them praying for me, and so I started to turn persons away. Because it's a seminary, so people naturally resort to prayer. But I just tired of everybody that pray for me. So there's the same gentleman from Africa, he came back the following day. And I said, listen, I don't want anybody. He said, I'm not here to pray for your healing. I'm here to pray for your ministry. I'm like, which ministry? And he started telling me about my healing ministry that God has given me. And then I recollected that like about 2 years before, I went to a ministers seminar at our campsite in Mayday, and my right hand started shaking involuntarily when they were doing a healing service praying for another pastor. And a pastor from our dynamis from Cayman Island named Pastor Cassius Fair, he came and he singled me out and called me a mighty woman of valor and said I have a healing ministry. My hand was shaking so hard that my spiritual mother was beside me. That's the same one who ran down the road and I fell. And I tell her to hold my hand because something wrong with my hand. When the man said he came to pray for my healing ministry, the hand started shaking again. Anyway, he prayed and he left. Another gentleman came to do spiritual emphasis week from overseas, and he said the African said you're called to people of this age. This man said I'm called to people of this generation. He wanted to pray for my ministry as well. I'm like, what is this? And then a third person came on the campus again, not from here, from overseas, and he said you're called to a people of this generation. All three are the same thing. One to a contemporary ministry, one to a people of this age, one to a people of this generation. I said, okay, God, you know what? I don't understand this call that you're calling me into full-time ministry, but guess what? All right, I'm willing to try it. And that's all I remember saying. And this pastor, I've never told him, his name is Reverend Taylor. He's one of our pastors. He pastors a man in the Church of God of Prophecy. He came that day to pray for me in my room. And I just felt something go click in my back, like my back was snapped back in place. The morning I said to God, you know, all right, God, I don't understand this pastor thing. I don't understand the calling, but here I am. I am willing. Laverne came and prayed that afternoon, and I heard my back snap back in place. I've never told him. This is probably the first time I'm going to hear it. And I started functioning again, going back to classes like normal. I remember moving my family on campus because one of the things I didn't want, I have seen persons come to seminary and they are married and they leave there and they no longer have a family, because in trying to study and to come out on top, sometimes your family get neglected. And I am strong on family because I did not have both my parents, and I made a decision that my kids were going to have their two parents matters what, right? And so even though I had conflicts with my boyfriend at the time, I decided I'm going to stick to it because my kids were going to have a father and a mother. And so what I did eventually was move my husband, my two grandsons, my two sons, and one of my daughter was going to college, even though she was married. Moved them on the campus. I got a flat, had some privilege because I was the president of the student council, got a flat, moved them on the campus. I was determined that my family was going to keep together through thick and thin. So, you know, I'd be in class, I run over to the cottage, I put on the rice, I run back into my class, you know, I run out back, I put on the meat, you know, I do that kind of thing, I wash at night. Because people were asking me, how you do it? How you balancing family? And I'm getting pretty good grades as well. And again, I said, it's just God. And eventually I finished 4 years at seminary, graduated with honors in 2005, got the uncontested most outstanding leadership award, and my reputation has been left at seminary, you know. To God be the glory again, I say. It is only God. I could not have done it because when I looked at other persons, I thought that I could never make it to attain to that level of education. And JTS is forever my alma mater. It has helped to shape me to be who I am today now. And then I started pastoring. As I say, I was pastoring Buff Bay Church in 2000. So I pastored Buff Bay Church for 10 years. Actually 11. This year is 11 years. And then 4 years ago, I was given the Orange Bay Church, an additional church about 10 minutes away from the Buff Bay Church. So I was pastoring 2 churches. The ministry was good. God, I believe, gave me a men ministry, a ministry to men. My church grew at one point till I had more men than women in the church. Young people were coming in influx. I remember when I just took over Buff Bay Church, you know, the old people started to die. I mean, like every month I was burying a senior. So one day I said to God, why are you killing out the prayer warriors them in the church? And God said, I call it to people of this age. And I remember the 3 persons who prophesied. and the church started to grow with young people. It just grew. The few old ones who were there and were coming in were able to embrace my radical style of ministry. Seriously, I don't think them seen a pastor like me unless upon TV. I dress trendy, I just see my nails and all of these things, and it's a rural area and people don't really embrace this kind of thing, and I don't try to shove anything down anybody's throat, but this is who I am. This is the personality that I have. I love to dance, I love young people, and so people eventually started to gravitate towards the ministry, because yes, when God is in something, it's not about you. You know, people may think otherwise. People started to wonder, why that church full of so much young men? Why so much young people are there? Why is it that every time, if it's not a baptism, it is a wedding going on over that church? It's just God.
Reverend Carla Dunbar. Folks, there you have it. She has gone through so many challenges. A little Obeah, much sickness, but God delivered her out of them all, and He can deliver you. She is now ministering far and wide, touching your lives and my life, and I am blessed to even have heard her story, and I know she blessed you. God is indeed a rewarder of them that diligently seek Him, and indeed the boundary lines have fallen for her in pleasant places. Psalms reminds us of that. Thank you for joining us here on Divine Intervention. It was our pleasure to serve you. I am Juanita Williams. Join us again next week for another fascinating story.